England going to Murrayfield on a 12 test winning streak, and really being undone quite comprehensively. Now you could point at England's kind of historic frailties against Scotland, but the manner of that defeat was really jarring and sets up this one beautifully, because there's an element of fragility about Ireland as well. They were beaten quite soundly by France and then were unconvincing against Italy. So there feels like a lot of jeopardy on this game, and that is how we absolutely love our Six Nations matches.
All four nations have plenty at stake on the biggest weekend so far in the Six Nations rugby. England meet Ireland, Scotland face Wales. With us is Charlie Morgan, senior rugby writer for The Times. Thank you very much for joining us. A great afternoon ahead. I think 2:10 for the England-Ireland, 4:40 Wales-Scotland. That's my afternoon sorted. If there was logic and maths in this, Ireland beat Italy, Italy beat Scotland, Scotland beat England, so Ireland should beat England. But rugby doesn't work like that, does it?
No, it doesn't. And you only have to look back to last week and England going to Murrayfield on a 12 test winning streak, and really being undone quite comprehensively. Now you could point at England's kind of historic frailties against Scotland, but the manner of that defeat was really jarring and sets up this one beautifully, because there's an element of fragility about Ireland as well. They were beaten quite soundly by France and then were unconvincing against Italy. So there feels like a lot of jeopardy on this game, and that is how we absolutely love our Six Nations matches.
Yeah, can we expect something different from England? There is frustration, I think historically there always has been sometimes, but recently that they are very rigid with the game plan and they need to be able to play what everyone else seems to be doing, which is far more open and exciting rugby.
I think there's an element of kind of stick or twist question about England tactically as well as in selection leading up to this one. I don't think we will see a change. I think the foundations of their game were what Scotland attacked, and Scotland actually kicked more in that game. They won the aerial battle, and that's what allowed Scotland to play in a lot of cases. I think England, over this successful period that they've had, they've kicked a fair amount, and that does frustrate people a little bit, but that certainly gives them a platform to be more expansive. They are trying to bring more variety to their game and a little bit more sort of and be a little bit more expansive. I'm not sure today is the day that'll happen, because I think as far as a result, I think and regaining a little bit of impetus that they lost up in Scotland is more important. They've certainly picked pace. Tommy Freeman's kind of reverted back to the wing, which has brought in Ollie Lawrence, who's extremely explosive at centre, and they've kept Henry Arundel. That's kind of the flagship selection, because Henry Arundel had a tough time up in Scotland with two yellow cards, which led to England playing with 14 for half an hour and really stunted their attacking game. So there were reasons that their attack was compromised at Murrayfield. They certainly, though, want to put on a show back at home. That's what the back at Twickenham. Sorry, that's what the chat has been this week from their camp.
Well, they certainly put on a show when I was in Twickenham a couple of weekends ago, and they demolished Wales. And it's a tough time to be a Welsh supporter. But again, this is the Six Nations. You know, there is the possibility for upset. I think it's fair to say Scotland will have the wind in their sails. But is there any chance that a slightly different Welsh team today will do something other than lose again?
It will be the fixture, I think, that Wales have targeted from the beginning of the Six Nations, which certainly means they'll have put a lot of thought into how to unpick Scotland. I do think it's going to be, if you look at the sort of, I mean, you're picking through a lot to find positives out of their first couple of performances so far, but their scrum's been good. Scotland's has looked slightly fragile. That's an area they can get on top. Wales's line out was pretty tidy despite France sort of running riot in Cardiff. There are reasons there that they can get the foundation of a game and stay in the game for long periods. And if they do that, I guess you never know. I'm sensing a bit of frustration from Wales supporters about the sort of a few inconsistencies in selection. You know, bringing Sam Costello in at 10 despite him not being involved at all in the championship seems like a big call. People who watch a lot of Premiership rugby are quite founded, to be honest, as to how Tommy Rafale isn't getting a game at open side. He's been exceptional for Leicester over a long period. but certainly I think given that they would have looked at that Scotland game from a long way out,
we can only
there's certainly every chance.
We can only dream, those of us who are Welsh. But thank you very much, Charlie Morgan. Looking forward to a great afternoon of sport either way.